Hi there, it's Mr. Clark. Welcome to lesson JAZ.1.1 on swing rhythm. In this unit, we're going to be looking at jazz from the viewpoint of a performer, someone who wants to play and improvise in the style, as well as a composer looking at forms and various considerations that jazz composers have. So, we are going to start out with swing rhythm. There are no new notated rhythms in jazz, but how we interpret them may differ depending on the style. So there are some styles where everything's perfectly normal. There are other styles where we have this thing called swing. Normally, if we see this rhythm, we would say, well, this is a simple meter. 1D, 2D, D, 4D. In the swing style, we make each pair of eighth notes unequal. We make the first note a little bit longer than we would expect it to be, the second note a little bit shorter than we would expect it to be. So in the most simple form, this would turn into a compound meter. 1 da 2 da da 4 da. Normally you see it like this with eighth notes, where you would see this but play this. You could potentially swing any note value. The next most common that I've seen would be swung sixteenths, where you see 1 D mi, ka mi, 3 D mi. But you'd go da 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 da. You could theoretically swing half notes or 30-second notes. I don't think I've ever seen that done, but no one's going to stop you except common sense. But the other thing to note is that notating it like this in compound meter is not necessarily exactly right either. Depending on the speed of the tune, how much these notes become unequal may differ. At slower speeds, it's going to be closer to this literal compound interpretation. Do da do da 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 ya da. At faster speeds, if you're going do da do da 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 da, more common in the bebop era, circa the 1950s, it won't be as deformed as this. It'll be the first note slightly longer, the second note slightly shorter, but it's somewhere in between these two rhythms. You may see other notations for swing. When publishers first started notating it, there were a number of different ways that they employed. Sometimes they used dotted 8/16. So literally this would be 1, me 2, me 4, me. No, that is not appropriate for the style. You would not play it like that. You would play it 1 da 2 da da 4 da. Some people also notated with triplets in 4/4, that sort of thing. So you might see these or this, and all of it is approximately this. Again, depending on the speed. If it's super fast, it'll be somewhere in between these two. We're not going to spend too much time counting these rhythms, although if you did, I would recommend using the compound syllables because it's a lot closer to that. We're going to more focus on articulation syllables, which we're going to look at in the next lesson. But if you are counting, I would recommend putting more emphasis on the das. 1 da 4, 1 da 2 da da 4 da, because that is more stylistically appropriate for jazz when you have these strings of eighth notes. The biggest thing here with learning how to idiomatically feel and hear these rhythms is just you gotta listen to jazz. Jazz is an oral art form, always has been, and a lot of it is passed down by listening to recordings. Unlike a lot of early classical music, we actually have recordings from early jazz because it started coming out around the early 1900s, same time that recording technology did. So if you go back, listen to Count Basie, some early Duke Ellington, anyone from around that early swing era, 1920s, 1930s, you'll get the idea of what we're going for here. And that's going to be a recurring theme in this unit where you just got to listen to jazz. See you next time.